Hey, high school literacy leaders, welcome back to Curriculum Chats. This is DLC Foster Yankee, and in this video, I'll be discussing Lesson 9 in the first section of the Things Fall Apart unit. So we'll get started. In this lesson, students will analyze isolated scenes from chapters 12 and 13 and their contribution to the success of the plot of the novel as a whole, how historical and cultural settings influence characterization, plot, and theme across chapters 12 through 13, and how Achibe's diction and syntax contribute to the mood, voice, and tone of the text. There are two texts for this lesson, Things Fall Apart, and an excerpt from Igbo Culture and History. And a couple of materials. We have the Forming Evidence-Based Claims Tool, Mentor Sentence Journal, Vocabulary Journal, and Academic Discussion Reference Guide. There are 6 activities, one of which is optional, in which students will examine 2 Igbo cultural ceremonies and discuss how the accident at the end of chapter 13 will shape the rest of the novel. The lesson begins with students in small groups reading and annotating the Igbo marriage customs section of Igbo Culture and History and discussing the question on the screen. What connections can you make between Things Fall Apart and Igbo marriage customs? Then connections are shared as a class. The next activity is optional. It has students in groups discussing how the Igbo wedding and funeral ceremonies are similar to ones in their own culture and responding to the questions on the screen. What are the moods of chapters 12 and 13? And how does Achibe use word choice and language to set the mood? Again, this is optional, but would be a great activity to incorporate for students still struggling with the concept of how authors use word choice and language to develop mood. To support students, I might present them with a list of 4 different moods, all of which could be correct, and have them choose one to answer the question. For activity 3, students listen as either the teacher or a peer reads a passage from the novel aloud. Then they discuss the question on the screen with a partner. What do you think will happen to Okonkwo now that he has been exiled from his village for 7 years? Why? What evidence from the text supports your prediction? And they pick one idea from their discussion to share with the class. To support students and prepare them for the next activity, the teacher might prompt them to back up their claims with evidence from the text. In activity 4, using their Forming Evidence-Based Claims tool, students write down the guiding question on the screen. How will Okonkwo respond to being exiled to his mother's village? As they read, they pay attention to details that relate to the guiding question. Depending on how long the section of text is, they might find several examples. They can use the Attend to Details row, which is here, to write down the details that most strongly relate to the guiding question. In the Analyze the Details row, they write down their thinking to ensure there is a clear connection among the details they identified, their analysis, and the guiding question. To support students, the teacher might allow them to complete this activity individually, in pairs, or in groups. Reviewing their responses should provide a good sense of how well they understand Okonkwo. If they are struggling to find quotes to support their claims, the teacher might give them 3 key traits they have already studied to help focus their research, such as Okonkwo's ambition, Okonkwo's feeling towards what he perceives as feminine, and Okonkwo's respect toward tribal law. Next, students use the quotes and analysis from their Forming Evidence-Based Claims tool to write a paragraph response to the question on the screen. Based on what you know about Okonkwo, how will he respond to being exiled to his mother's village? In their response, they should introduce the situation, include a strong claim that answers the question, include at least 2 quotes as evidence, analyze each quote and relate it to the claim, and conclude with a prediction of what will happen to Okonkwo. To support students, the teacher might read student examples as they write. Offering whole class corrections will save time in the future, as students are then more likely to correct these errors as they write. If possible, an easy way to watch students' progress is to have them share their paragraphs online, for example, in a Google Doc. The teacher might also present model paragraphs as examples before or during the activity. It is helpful for students to see good examples of introductions or ways to incorporate evidence. This lesson concludes with students reviewing their vocabulary journal and identifying a significant word or words they would like to use in their response to the section diagnostic. They also review their mentor sentence journal and select at least one technique that they plan to use when writing their response to the section diagnostic. To support students, the teacher might have them do additional work with the vocabulary prior to the section diagnostic in order to cement meaning and practice using the words in a meaningful context. There are some vocabulary exercises in the teaching notes. The teacher might also combine new vocabulary with sentence starters, such as those found in the Academic Discussion Reference Guide, to provide opportunities for English learners to practice using academic language in the classroom. Moving on to our cub, which comes from Activity 5. Students will know how Okonkwo will respond to being exiled to his mother's village. They'll understand how historical and cultural settings, misspell that, settings influence characterization, plot, and theme across chapters 12 and 13, and be able to infer how Okonkwo will respond to being exiled to his mother's village using the forming evidence-based claims tool to write a one-paragraph response that includes at least 2 quotes as evidence. So that is a wrap for this video. I welcome your feedback and look forward to hearing from you either on Twitter, via email, or in the comments. While you're here, don't forget to subscribe so you never have to worry about missing a video. Thanks for watching.